Assalamualaikum everyone, this is Ayesha from CxO Global Forum, a knowledge sharing platform for all the C levels across Pakistan and around the globe. Every time we are having some very interesting personalities with us today as well. We have Mr. Osman Qazi with us, who is an IT audit expert at State Audit Bureau, Qatar. Assalamualaikum sir, how are you?
Walaikum salam, Asha. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good too, sir. How has your day been? It's 5 p.m. in Pakistan now.
Yeah, and it's 3 p.m. here in Qatar. So, it's been a challenging day in terms of meetings and some site visits as well, system demos, that kind of stuff. But otherwise, it's been okay.
Okay, right. So, sir, before starting off with this discussion, I would want you yourself to please let our audience know who basically Mr. Usman Qazi is.
Sure. So, currently, I'm an IT audit expert working with the State Audit Bureau in Qatar. My role is in the IT audit space. So, the entity State Audit Bureau is a government entity, and we perform audits across other government entities. So, ministries, um, big companies like Qatar Energy, Qatar Airways, these kind of entities, we perform audits over there. So my role is on the IT audit side. We go ahead at these entities, we look at their IT systems, their IT processes, advise them on how they can improve them, where their
Right.
weaknesses, and that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay, right. That sounds interesting. Okay. So, sir, I would want to ask what inspired you to, specialized in IT auditing, and I would want to know the how did you, start your career with this part?
Sure. So I started off actually from a purely financial audit background. So
Okay.
I did my ACCA. For people in Pakistan, they're familiar with the accounting certification. That's from UK. I did that, and then I started working as an internee or a trainee with Ferguson, AF Ferguson firm in
Right.
Pakistan. It's not PwC. So at that time, I was mostly focused on the financial audit side. Then this opportunity came up with EY in Bahrain at that time, and they were expanding their internal audit practice. So I moved into internal audit. Financial audit was really not that attractive for me personally. I didn't
Okay.
find it interesting, but because I had to do something, so I started off with financial audit. But once I moved to internal audit, it was more internal auditing and consulting based work. Over there, I got this opportunity to do one assignment, which was more of an IT audit under guidance
Okay.
of my senior, and this was for a bank, a major bank in the region. There, I really started feeling, this is something I want to do. My true calling, I guess.
Okay.
And
Right.
so we looked at systems. We looked at. It was interesting in the sense as you get to interact with the system on the back end as well. It was a learning experience for me. So at that point, that I moved into basically trying to explore how I can become an IT auditor. I was still working in internal audit, purely business audits, but I did my CISA, which is the Certified Information Systems Audit qualification. I
Right.
got that cleared out of the way. And then by that time, I got an opportunity with PwC in Canada. So with PwC in Canada, they were again expanding their IT audit practice. And so I got recruited. I started over there as an associate. And then over the years, progress from associate, senior associate to manager, specializing in IT audits within the healthcare space as well. And
Right.
then I got an opportunity with the Office of the Auditor General in Canada. Well, actually, it's with the provincial level. They have Ontario, so the Ontario province has its own office, and I
Right.
actually went there as an IT audit manager. We were establishing that. It was a new initiative in the office. Before that, they didn't have any IT audit separate portfolio. They were doing IT audits, but it was part of their existing audits. And then I came on board, and we established the new department. I got promoted director as well. I hired people, and then then after a couple of years, I moved to State Audit Bureau in Qatar. So they were also establishing their IT audit practice, and then I joined as a more like an advisor role at that time, where it was more like how do we do the audits, what is the methodology we have to follow, how do we identify the areas we need to focus on, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Then now it's more of a what you call a routine regular stuff where I oversee audits. It's managing team and that kind of that's the area of expertise now.
Okay, so I must say you have a long journey that you've covered to be here today. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
okay, right. So, sir, I want to ask, how did you personally develop the technical and the analytical skills that you needed to excel as an IT audit expert?
So that's a very good question. I mean, it's not overnight, right? Anything does not come overnight. And
Definitely.
but one of the things I do find, which was very helpful for me, is having that inquisitive mindset. So trying to understand things, why this happened,
Definitely.
for and trying to get to, like, let's say, the underlying reasons, where this is coming from. That really helped in understanding as well IT, as you might be aware that technology itself is evolving, and
Definitely.
even in those days as well, in the good old days, it used to be still evolving at a slow pace, but still you would have something new come out. Even new versions were different for us too, really.
Right.
So you have to understand, right? And without having that mindset of I'm willing to learn and willing to understand, it was difficult to develop any kind of skill, right? So that was something I feel that really helped me in terms of willing to learn, and even
Right.
now I'm willing to learn whether it's something new that's coming up. I try to learn because I think that's the only way you can stay on top.
Definitely right. Exactly. Okay. So, all along your journey, what were some of the challenges that you faced in your career, and how did those experiences they shaped your professional growth?
So challenges, I mean, in terms of challenges I've had, so first of all, it was the work pressure itself, right? Working for these firms, these big four firms, it's always been stressful in terms of the long hours, the deadlines.
Right.
So work pressure was always there. Um, but at the same time, you're also learning. So there's this pressure not only to deliver work and complete work, but also learn on the go, right? And one thing I would always appreciate while working with these firms is that they train you hard. It's for me, it's like this, going to a gym, right? So and then initially it's tough. Maybe the first week you're motivated and you're like, okay, I can do this, I want to
Right.
do this, and you are coming in, you're prepared, and you're pushing, you're giving your 100%. But after a couple of weeks, the motivation goes down, and then getting tired and all that. But then if you keep on doing it, then within a year where you are, you're far better off than anyone else, who hasn't gone
Definitely.
to gym, right? So these firms train you really hard, right? Train you well as well. I always give credit to my time with the firm where I am right now. It wouldn't have been possible because the way they develop your thinking, the way they develop your technical skills, your people
Definitely right.
skills, all of that comes into play. So they make a well-rounded individual out of you. And so that was, but that was one challenge for me personally. Initially it was overwhelming at times. I felt it's getting too much, I should leave. But then trying to get through it, as one day at a time, I think that really helped. And I think that's one of my biggest challenge, I think, that I've always had. And now I think it's more about staying on top of technology because it's every day something new, and I
Yes.
find, yeah, it's very difficult for me really to even understand everything that's happening, let alone how the technology works. Right? I don't even know what's the new thing here, the new trend here. So, but that's something I'm trying to just stay on track if possible.
I do have a question related to this, but we'll discuss that a little later. Okay, so here I would want you to please let me know one of your significant achievements that you would want to mention here.
Yeah, I mean, significant achievements in terms of, see, work-wise, one thing I would always be proud of is the value I've brought to the entities I have worked at. And especially given now with working with government entities, whether it was in Canada or here in Qatar, it has been more about what you call performance audits. So we,
Okay,
we go in and we assess the entity's performance, whether it
right.
relates to their processes or their systems. So it's more about what has gone wrong as opposed to what could go
Mhm.
wrong, right? So when I say what has gone wrong, for instance, they have a system and let's say they're not using that system at all. So then that's wasted money, right? Why
Definitely right.
this system, right? So now, whatever the reason is, the users are not happy with it, it's not meeting the requirements or whatever. That's the kind of stuff that we identify. We said you're still paying, let's say, for the licenses and all that. Get rid of the system, or find or push the users to use it so that at least you can improve your business processes. And that itself is something I think is really valuable because it identifies either areas where costs could be saved or where areas where things could be made more efficient, right? But regardless of this, I think the bigger achievement personally for me has been working in different environments, right? So I've worked in Pakistan, I've worked in the Middle East, I've worked in North America, and I think I worked in different cultures with different people, and that has really, helped me to open up my mind. So I've come to realize that there's more than one right way to do things, and
Okay.
I always, when I come in with my team, I'm willing to listen, because I know that in the past as well I've been proven wrong, that I thought this was the right way to do it, but there's another better way to do it as well. And so I think that's really been an achievement for me to have the opportunity to work with across the world or across the globe, and
Mhm.
that has helped me in terms of my thinking and what I bring to the table.
Okay, right. Okay. So, sir, I would want to ask, did you have any mentors or role models who played an important role in your journey?
Yes, for sure. I mean, where I'm right now, without mentors and role models, it wouldn't have been possible at all. Um, Even from the very first role with Ferguson in Pakistan, I was lucky to have some seniors who guided
Mhm.
me just from to how to work, how to survive in the entity, what is good performance, what you shouldn't be
Right.
doing, kind of things, right? And I'm still in touch with those people, those few people I really admire. And then and in every role, I think I've been lucky in terms of the even the direct managers I've had. They were very people first kind of people, right? So they were very willing to listen. They were open to suggestions. I remember
Right.
even like my first when I moved from Pakistan to Bahrain, my manager, he said something. I said, "What do you think?" And I was shocked, right? He was asking me, "What do I think?" And I only had like 2 3 years of experience, and I was just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. And so it
Yes.
was kind of, and he's like, tell me, do you have anything to say? What do you think about it? Is it right or not? And this guy had more than 15 years of experience, right? So I mean, it was help. This helped, like in terms of uh, getting me to think about things, why I'm doing this,
Right.
and is there a better way to do it. And they were always encouraging me to speak up what I had in my mind as well, regardless of any fear of what they'll think. Is it a stupid question, or these kind of things? So I've been lucky to have mentors, and in every role, in every organization, I've grown only because I was lucky to have these mentors who guided me throughout, the organization, and how what makes what defines success, I guess.
Definitely right. Okay. So, sir, as discussed earlier, you said the technology is changing very rapidly, which it actually is. So, I want to ask, how do you stay updated with the latest trends and advancements in the technology sector and the auditing sector?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, I'm still struggling with it. I'm trying to find an answer, and if you have one for me, please. But I guess CxO is one thing. I'm part of this network where different I'm getting different sources of information, and
Right.
that's what I'm trying to do as well. So I'm also a member of like ISACA, and so see one thing. Let me take a step back. I think what's important is now, at least for me, it's to focus on my areas of expertise. So technology is
Oh,
all over the place, right? So I need to just specialize in one area, which is IT auditing, and I need to focus on those tools or those technologies that either I can use to improve my work, make it more
right.
efficient, or is it or something that I'm going to be auditing. The entities are using it. Let's say we're talking about ERP, or they're moving to data lakes or data analysis or big data, whatever, or artificial intelligence even. I need to understand that because I'm going to be auditing that. So I'm not trying. I've tried to narrow it down because it's more manageable in that sense, as opposed to trying to look at everything and trying to stay
Right.
abreast of what's happening. So with that in mind, that I am part of ISACA. which shares a lot of information in terms of weekly newsletters, journals, their podcasts. So I try to, stay in touch with that. At least I get that information. But then again, this information is more international. You'd say it's not customized or tailored to, say, Qatar. I need to be
Right.
aware of what's happening in the public sector here. What, let's say, some new legislation has come out, or the government has signed a new contract, a new agreement with certain technology companies, and these kind of things. For that, of course, the news is the number one source if it's some big news.
Okay.
Other than that, also within the government entities, we have these kind of networks, right, where
Mhm.
we get some information. So it's different sources. What I'm trying to say is the different sources through which I try to, stay aware of what's happening. But I still
Right.
feel that I am slow. I'm not able to keep track of what's happening.
Okay, right. So, sir, I would want to ask, what do you find most fulfilling, or I would say rewarding, in your current role?
Uh, I think there are multiple things. So first of all is the nature of the work itself. So you know, I go to a different entity. It's a different environment, a different culture, different people I meet. They have different systems, so it's a good change, right? You're not doing the same thing, the same work every day. It's different. Then the value you bring. You see, you go to an entity and you want to leave the entity as a better place. So you want to put in recommendations that will help them to improve their things. If they
Right.
have any problems, and this has happened to me more than often, that the people I'm auditing, they've come to me and said, we have this issue. What do you suggest? How can we fix this? Or can you provide some support in terms of, if you put this in the report, it will actually help to get senior management's attention, let's say. So then putting that in, helping them with that is also kind of, rewarding, because you know that
Right.
you've left this place in a better way, and so that's one aspect of it. Then of course, I right now Qatar itself. Since I came here in 2017, and that's when they were getting ready for the FIFA World Cup. And so it's been amazing, in terms of just the environment, the work environment, as well as the around in the country, the hype and all that for the World Cup and all that. And still the growth is there. They have big plans on how they're going to, whether it's technology related or everything else as well. So it's that's very rewarding, being part of such an environment where they are willing to try the latest and the greatest things.
Definitely. Okay, right. So, sir, outside of work, what are some of your hobbies or interests that you're passionate about?
So my family, you know, I learned that from my experience with the firm, when I didn't used to get any time for the family. My kids were small. I used to leave early in the morning. They were sleeping. I'll come back and they were sleeping. Weekends I was working as well. So I realized that at some point that I missed that point, right? Like it was, I had to be with my family, and I think now it's a big part of what I do. Whether it's just having meals with them, I make an effort that I sit down and have meals with them, whether it's we're watching TV, going out, that kind of stuff. So it's family for me is very important now. And then the second piece is I'm into running, like marathon running, and so I try to train for that, or I work for that, and that's kind of a secondary hobby. And that's, I guess, the physical part of it is also important. And
Definitely, right. It is
it
right.
gives you the energy. It's a break as well. Like every day, if I'm going for a run, okay, this is my time where I can detox, and I feel that
Definitely, right.
my body is just tired of sitting, and now I'm getting some movement and all that. So that helps as well.
Okay, right. So, sir, I would want you to please give the audience one advice that you would, want to give the audience, especially the one who wants to build up their career in IT auditing.
So I think what I've said so far, all of these are, in a way, the kind of advice is terms of how you can build a career. One thing I would definitely suggest is that you need to choose your
Mhm.
specialization. So initially, maybe the first year, so just like I also played around a bit, see which area is interesting and what you feel is something you want to focus on. Once you've identified your area you really like or find interesting, then you need to focus on that. Okay, so you need to specialize in terms of how you're going to build your skills in that area. So whether it's technology related or whether it's a certain sector. Like for me personally, I initially started off with the ERPs, whether it was Oracle, SAP, JD Edwards. Then after some time, I dropped all of them and just focused on Oracle. And then with time, I moved into a different sector, which was public sector, right?
Right.
So you have to make the choices, and then I think that's the most important thing in IT audit. As I mentioned, with technology, there's so much technology, there's so much you can do. And even in my team, in my office, I've got so many different people that have their own expertise. We have people who are very focused on, let's say, Microsoft products. I don't know anything about Microsoft products, but if I need to look at it, I go to them, right? And
Right.
similarly, I have other people who have, let's say, background in the financial sector, heavily into the how the banking system works and all that. So if am working on something that relates to financial areas, I go with them as well. So you will always have experienced other people you can go to, right? Or you can
Right.
engage, you can also engage external parties, contractors, consultants that can help you on that. But personally, you need to also identify which area you can become an expert in, and then just focus on that.
Okay. Thank you for these advices, sir. Lastly,
Okay.
how would you describe your experience with CXO Global Forum?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I mean, it was. I was actually referred to by my friend, my great friend, and my cousin as well, who is a member of CxO. He was like, I met him in Pakistan. I went for vacation, and we're talking. And he's like, you should become a part of this group, and we have. And I thought it was like an informal group initially, right? And like, no, you have to pay membership and all that. I said, I still thought it was like an informal group, and then when I joined and all that started off, and I was like, oh, this is something else, and it was really impressive. To be honest, I wasn't expecting this to come from Pakistan because my impression at that time, and this was when I first joined, was like, okay, technology is still not there in Pakistan. The startup scene is there, maybe a bit, but these kind of forums are not there. But then when I first time experienced this, I was truly impressed, and I've kept my membership, even though I'm not that active, um, because I guess first of all, yeah, I'm in Qatar, and then the events happen in Pakistan, so there's a I guess gap. But I mean, regardless of that, I think there's good information being shared. There good discussions that happen as well, and it's from that perspective. I've had great access to resources from there as well. Some of the people that documents they share, the things they discuss have provided me insights as well. So it's been a good experience so far with CXO.
Okay. So, done with this short interaction here, sir. Thank you so much for your time. It was lovely having you on board. And once again, thank you for pulling out time for this discussion. I hope that the people who are watching us would be able to learn from you as much as possible.
Likewise, thank you so much for having me, Aisha.
Thank you. Take care.